Welcome to this evening's forum for candidates seeking election to the City of Hagerstown Council and the position of Mayor of Hagerstown. Legislative powers of the city are vested in a 5-member council. The council has the power to pass ordinances to assure the good government of the city. City council meetings are held on Tuesdays. All meetings except for executive sessions are open to the public. Members of the city council must be at least 21 years old, have resided in the corporate limits of the city for at least 1 year, and be qualified voters in city elections. Council members must continue to reside in the city during their term. The salary for a member of the city council is $8,000 annually, and council members will serve a term of 4 years. All council members are elected at large. The 7 council candidates able to be with us this evening include Bob Brucci, TIARA Burnett, Brooke Grossman, Austin Hefferman, Takesha Martinez, Shelley McIntyre, and Peter E. Perini, Sr. The mayor is the chief elected officer of the city and is charged with seeing that the ordinances of the city, the policies and resolutions of the city council, and the provisions of the city charter are faithfully executed. The mayor annually reports on the condition of municipal affairs and makes recommendations for the public good and welfare of the city to the council. The mayor must be at least 25 years old, have resided in the corporate limits of the city of Hagerstown for at least 1 year, and be a qualified voter in city elections. The mayor must continue to reside in the city during his or her term. The salary for the mayor of Hagerstown is $28,000 annually, and the mayor also serves for a term of 4 years. This evening, we have with us both of the candidates seeking to be elected as mayor of Hagerstown, Michael Barnes and Emily Keller. My name is Richard Wilson, and I am the current president of the League of Women Voters of Washington County. This evening, we will first be providing each of our candidates with a 2-minute opportunity to introduce themselves to you. We will invite the candidates to speak in the order their names will appear on the November 3rd ballot for these introductions, but in each of the following sections of our program, we will call on our candidates in a computer-generated random order. These candidate introductions will be followed by a series of 5 questions that have been formulated by our League members. Candidates will be given 1 minute to respond to these League questions. Following the 5 League member questions, we will turn to questions submitted by members of the community who are watching live on the League's Facebook page or who have emailed questions to us in advance to the address that you now see on your screens. Behind the scenes, we have a team of 3 League members who will be working to combine similar questions. Please word your questions so that they can be asked of all of our candidates, as all of our questions will be asked of 3 candidates in succession before moving on to the next question. And now let the questions begin. Moderating our forum this evening is Dr. Eric Schwartz. Dr. Schwartz is an instructor in the Political Science and International Relations Department at Hagerstown Community College. Dr. Schwartz, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I wanted to thank the League for putting on this event. I think it's very important that the citizens of Hagerstown have the opportunity to hear their candidates speak in their own words and to make their case. We'll be asking candidates to briefly their opening comments for 2 minutes. And we're asking the candidates for council in alphabetical order. First, Mr. Brucci, then Ms. Burnett, Ms. Grossman, Mr. Hefferman, Ms. Martinez, Ms. McIntyre, and Mr. Perini. And then we will go with the mayoral candidates for opening statements to introduce their candidacy, give their reason for why they're running for this position. So Mr. Brucci, you are up first. Mr. Brucey?
I'm coming. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, hi again. Yes, and my name is Bob Brucey. I am running as a councilman for the city of Hagerstown. I spent the last 14 years and 9 months leading the city as the mayor of Hagerstown, and I've enjoyed that role. But I believe that it's time for me to be able to contribute more by being a member of the voting council, and to be able to continue the good work that this administration has done over the last few years. There are a lot of issues that we are facing, and we are fortunate that we have great staff members of the city of Hagerstown and great directors in all our departments. But even they can't do it alone. So I look forward to helping to lead the city for the next 4 years with the rest of the council members who are elected on November 3rd. And I truly believe that we can make a difference. And I believe that's what we would be put on that council to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brucey. Ms. Burnett, could you summarize why you are putting yourself up for this position?
Good evening, everybody. I am TIARA Burnett, and I'm running for City Council. And I'm born and raised in Hagerstown. I graduated from North High in 2002. I got my Bachelor's of Science degree in pre-veterinary and a Master's of Science degree in Regulatory Affairs and Drugs and Biologics. I am currently a Senior Quality Assurance Specialist for a cell and gene therapy company in Frederick. And most importantly, I have a 9-year-old daughter that lives with me. And I have, I've been on board for nonprofits for the youth. So I understand the importance of mentorship and role models. And I would like to push for more educational programs as well as mentorship. And as a small supporter of small businesses and entrepreneurs, I would like to facilitate growth by working to improve the permitting process to encourage new businesses to come to our city, and as well as bringing up discussions of the blighted and abandoned buildings that we see throughout our town. So thank you for inviting me, League of Women Voters, and I look forward to answering questions from the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burnett. Thank you. And our next candidate is Ms. Grossman. Would you please describe the reason for your candidacy?
Sure. So like Tiara just said, I'm a mom too, right? And one of the things that I think that we have opportunity for in Hagerstown is, as we grow and develop the community, is to make it to a place that our youth want to stay, right? And so that we can develop homegrown talent, that you're not seeing youth go away to college and not come back and reinvest in our community, right? And so one of the real reasons for me wanting to run was to start to help kind of create that community where my kids, I have 5 of them, and one who will be graduating. Yeah, I know, right? I make that face every day. One who will be graduating high school this year, and I want him to come back, right? I mean, I want him to go away and have opportunity, but I want him to bring that opportunity back to Hagerstown. And so that was really the big part of my motivation. And also just, you know, I feel strongly that if you want to make a change, you have to be part of making that change, right? And so, you know, I want to be part of the solution, not just someone who raises the problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's Mr. Heffernan, could you please summarize your motivation for running for this position?
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, great. Okay. Well, hi, everyone. Thanks, Eric. I'm Austin Heffernan. I've been a resident of Hagerstown since 2005 when I moved here to start a business at the Hagerstown Airport. I was appointed to the Hagerstown City Council in January of 2018. I'm currently a council member, and I serve on the board of the Hagerstown Eastern Panhandle Metropolitan Planning Organization and as a member of the Washington County Community Coalition. My educational background includes a BA and MBA from Vanderbilt University, and I'm also a U.S. Army veteran. The key issues that I want to focus on as a council member are taxes, bringing our city's drug and crime ordinances up to date, funding for public safety functions, and ensuring that we maintain good police-community relations. The city's facing extremely serious financial challenges right now due to the pandemic, and revenues from all of our functions, the utilities, the parking fund, everything is down. Our tax base has been lowered again, meaning property tax revenues are going to be less than expected, and state and federal support is expected to be less than expected prior to COVID. So those items have created what's nearing a $2 million shortfall that we're going to have to deal with. We've all been hit hard by the pandemic, so it's not acceptable to deal with the budget issues by raising taxes. We've all had to cut expenses and learn to do more with less, and the city's functions are going to have to do the same. Our drug and crime ordinances are not up to speed to effectively deal with the rampant increase in fentanyl and opioid trafficking activities that were never anticipated when those ordinances were written. We need better tools to target the criminals and their accomplices that are addicting and destroying innocent lives in the city. And finally, we need strong, fully staffed police and fire departments to guarantee the basic safety needs of all our citizens. And we have to end the cycle of training, hiring, and losing police officers to other cities because we can't pay competitive salaries. So we just need to learn how to shift revenues to cover what's most important.
Thank you. Thank you. And next, we have Ms. Martinez to describe why she's running for the council position.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Takesha Martinez, and I'm running for city council. Just basically because I just feel, once I learned that politician also means minister, and that's another word for politician is minister, I realized how important being a politician is, and how much as people we do administer something to our community. And for myself, I am a mother, 5 children, I have 4 grandbabies. I have been serving in the community for the last 10 years consistently until I came back. I went away for a while, I came back and started a poetry movement. I also came back after I found my voice, and I'm also an artist. So I can be in the art museum teaching middle schoolers how to use their voice, or I could be facilitating a conversation between police and youth. And what I bring to the table in leadership is the ability to be a bridge. I'm able to decrease myself in order to make sure people feel heard and understood in the midst of conflict. I think that everyone has their lane. And I think that if we stay focused on our lane and be able to work together, we'll get to where we're going. I believe Hagerstown is good ground, and I want to see us be the great hub city that we are by all working together. And I believe leadership, we need to start looking at a diverse and what it means and looks like to be diverse. And that everybody shouldn't have to focus on the same things in order to get the job done or be the same way. And that's just what I bring to it. I didn't print anything. I didn't do anything major before primaries. I stay emphasizing that. And the reason why is because I want to model to our community that you can do and be anything that you put your mind to. And there's so much power and presence. Politicians are not celebrities. We are public servants. We are called to serve. And I have a servant's heart. And whether I win or if I lose, I'm still going to show up and serve in Hagerstown. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Martinez. And next we have Ms. McIntyre to describe briefly why you're running for the council.
Thank you, Dr. Schwartz, and thank you to the League of Women Voters. I was appointed to the City Council in what seems like forever ago, but it was only December of 2017. And in my short tenure during City Councilwoman, I've created several social programs that have not cost the taxpayers any money. I've created Bridge to Change, which is helping lift our homeless out of poverty, which has been very purposeful. I have created the Youth Advisory Council to give our youth a voice in our area. And I've also created Washington County Recovers that addresses the addiction crisis that we have here in our community. I'm running again. I'm a positive, innovative, gracious leader. I understand the importance of cooperation and teamwork. I listen very closely to our constituents and find out what we need to improve our city. And we are faced with a major challenge now. We are faced with this COVID-19, just like the rest of the nation and the rest of the world. And I think that with my leadership skills and the fact that I own a small business and I know what it's like to budget on a very small amount of money in order to make things work. I'm dedicated to this community. Since I was appointed in 2017, I have worked tirelessly every single day to represent the citizens of this community in Hagerstown. And I'm blessed to be here, and I'm blessed to get to serve now. And I hope that I get to continue in the future in November. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. McIntyre. And we have Mr. Perini next to describe why you're running for the council.
Thank you, Eric. Hi, I'm Peter Perini. I'm excited to be a candidate for the Hagerstown City Council. I'm excited because Hagerstown has so much potential, and I'm looking forward to rolling up my sleeves and getting to work to help Hagerstown meet its potential. My business and volunteer nonprofit experience will serve me well as a councilman. My qualifications are my experience and my expertise in working for large companies and small businesses, as well as working on many community organizations, boards, committees, and commissions. I've developed qualities of collaboration and cooperation in a civil and mutually respectful manner. As a businessman, I've been a job creator and a consensus builder. As a community leader, I'm an influencer by seeking to understand many perspectives. I will work to enhance the well-being of all the citizens of Hagerstown. I believe the most important aspect of Hagerstown City Council is to know and understand the wants and needs of the citizens of Hagerstown. Those are then translated into policies, ordinances, and ultimately the budget of the city government. From my experience as a leader in Rotary, I'm interested in making policies that are truthful, fair, beneficial to all, and will build goodwill and good relations. And finally, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for having us here at the forum tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Perini. Thank you, and I'd like to thank all the candidates for summing up. It's a difficult question to sum that up in a couple of minutes, so thank you for doing that. Next, we're going to shift to the mayoral candidates, and again, to be fair, we're just doing this in alphabetical order, so we're going to toss the ball first to Michael Barnes to talk about why he is running for mayor.
I believe Mr. Barnes lost his connection, so why don't you move to Ms. Keller?
Okay. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Schwartz, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for holding this. My name is Emily Keller. I was born and raised here in Hagerstown, graduated from South Hagerstown High School 2004. I am the current owner and operator of a farmers and financial agency. I'm currently serving my first term as a Hagerstown City Council person, and my most important title above all of that is mom to a 12-year-old girl named Layla. I'm running for office because I truly believe in Hagerstown. It was a very difficult decision whether I wanted to run for city council or I wanted to run for mayor. Of course, the mayor loses vote, which is a difficult decision to make, but I think that a true leader can lead Hagerstown into our best days. As a council person, I get to see all of the good in Hagerstown. I get to see our staff that works tirelessly. I get to see the small business owners who are struggling with the COVID pandemic, but are really working to provide their service and to get through this. And I believe the city is at a pivotal point right now. We have a lot of good things happening. We are so much better than our negative headlines, and I want to help the voice to bring those good things to the forefront while we work really hard on fixing the issues. A lot of them have already been addressed tonight. We need to fully fund our police station. We need to focus on the budget shortfalls. We need to tighten up on crime. And while we're doing that, I think we need to focus on all of the positive, like I said, too. So that way people want to come to Hagerstown. They see us as a destination. And I truly believe that I'm a leader that can do that. So that is why I'm mayor of the city of Hagerstown. I would appreciate your vote in November, and thank you again for doing this.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. And we will go now to Mr. Barnes to explain why he is running for mayor.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Schwartz and League of Women Voters. I'm running for Hagerstown. I've been a lifelong resident of Hagerstown. I had some issues with City Hall in the past, and after a break-in and the slow response from the police, I decided if you don't like the way City Hall's run or working, you run to help make it better. So that's one of the reasons I'm running. I've been very involved in the community over the last 30 years. I served on the board of the American Cancer Society, was involved with the chamber, numerous boards, but the one that speaks to my heart the most is, of course, the Community Free Clinic, which I currently sit on as the vice president. I want to make sure that we can get our businesses through this pandemic. I know we're looking at a $1.8 million budget shortfall right now. I know we're going to need a great leader to make that happen, and I'd like to consider myself that leader.
Thank you. We're going to move next to the questions that are generated from the League of Women Voters members. And we have questions coming to 3 council candidates. First, Ms. McIntyre, then Mr. Perini, then Ms. Burnett. And the question is simply, where do you want Hagerstown to be in 5 years? Where do you want Hagerstown to be in 5 years? And that, as I said, at first going to Ms. McIntyre.
Thanks, Dr. Schwartz. I want to see Hagerstown with a lot less negative comments. I would like to see the perception, whether be it real or perceived, I would like to see that diminished. I would like to see our police officers paid what they deserve, and how we do that, you know, to evaluate the budget in very, very detailed, fine, you know, tooth comb. I would like to see a project where we can get feet on the street and we can encourage, you know, people to come downtown and really feel safe. I would like to see the students and the youth of our community not want to leave, because there are things here that keep them here. And those are all big asks, but I think with cooperation and synergy, we can make that happen.
Thank you, Ms. McIntyre. You kept it within the time. I should have added that in contrast to the previous section, you've got a 60-second timer on this section. So in 60 seconds, Mr. Perini, where do you want Hagerstown to be in 5 years?
Well, I think all the things that Shelley said are spot on, and I would wrap that all in the discussion about creating jobs. If we can work to make Hagerstown have all of those aspects that Shelley just mentioned, then I think it would be the ideal place for companies to want to move to. And that's where I want Hagerstown to be in 5 years. I want Hagerstown to be the type of place where a CEO says, that's where I want my company to be, or that's where I want my next office of my company to be, or that's where I want my manufacturing plant to be in that city. Because we need to create more jobs for the people of Hagerstown. And I think if we could tackle all of these tasks, all of these issues, and make it such a place that folks just fall in love when they come here, that's where I want Hagerstown to be in 5 years. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Burnett, how would you respond to that question in 60 seconds?
I would like to see Hagerstown in 5 years to have a more inviting downtown area, especially for young professionals like myself. I like seeing the new businesses pop up. I went to Prohibition Hub twice already this this week, just because the environment and the atmosphere, as well as more programs, like I mentioned earlier, for youth, and encouraging our local artists and push that artwork and murals throughout the city to make it more inviting. And I agree with the perception. I don't believe that's true of the terms that we get called Little Baltimore. I think that's ridiculous. There is crime here, but it's not as bad as bigger national cities. And hopefully in 5 years we'll have little numbers, so people can't talk so much in the comments. But 5 years, Hagerstown's where I'll stay and where I'll continue to raise my daughter. Thanks.
Next, we have questions going to Ms. Martinez and Mr. Bruschi. And the question is, if you received a $1 million grant to use for the city any way you wanted, what would you do with it and why? So that question goes first to Ms. Martinez.
If I received a $1 million grant for anything in the city, I would use it to build relationships. I would use it to build relationships, and whatever that looked like, even to get the data done to show, the research done to show what it looks like between now and 1 year and then 5 years later. I would use the money for that. And the reason why I would do that is because I would like to see the leadership of Hagerstown teaching other communities and going and letting other communities know the blueprint to be able to come out of a pandemic, to be able to come out of something like we are going through nationally and survive and still be strong together. We are so much stronger together. So that's what I would use it for. I would use it to pay overtime to leadership, to officers, to firefighters, to community leaders, mothers. I would use it to get everybody into the room so that we could build relationships, and then to do the research to show the impact of that. I think that sometimes we get all caught up in the works, but relationships are very important for us to be able to collaborate and work together.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Martinez. And Mr. Bruschi, how would you tackle that? You suddenly got handed $1 million. How would you spend it for the city?
Well, I got to tell you, I know some people on here probably think, well, he probably wants to put that toward a new downtown stadium, but that's not what I would do. What I would do, though, is I would use those funds to create a Job Corps training program. Our community, because we do have development going on, and we have a lot of development that's in the pipeline, our community needs good, skilled workers. We don't manufacture them anymore in our school system. So I would use those funds to create a Job Corps training program that teaches, electricians and plumbers and bricklayers and HVAC people and, mechanics, people who can use their hands to make a good living, and, give our young folk and our people who don't want to move away and go to college, but do want to stay here, the opportunity to build something through a program that's not going to cost them an arm and a leg to try to get a skill.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bruschi. Next, we have 2 questions that are going to it's going first to Mr. Hefferman and then to Ms. Grossman. And the question is, what role does minor league baseball play in the economic health of Hagerstown? What role does minor league baseball play in the economic health of Hagerstown? And that is going first to Mr. Hefferman.
Thank you, Dr. Schwartz. Right now, none. There is no impact from minor league baseball. I don't know what the future is going to be of minor league baseball. I don't think any of us do. The one thing, if the question is couched around the whole idea of a stadium downtown, my position all along has been, I don't want a baseball stadium downtown. I want an event center downtown. I want a place where we have Shakespeare under the stars, vendor activity, art shows. If it can be used for baseball, football, soccer, some other sports activities, that's great. But we need a catalyst downtown. I don't think that a baseball stadium by itself is going to drag the feet downtown that we need, because people go to baseball games and eat hot dogs and peanuts and drink beer and they go home. We need something that brings people down that want to go to a restaurant before, a restaurant after, a bar after, and stay downtown.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Heffernan. And Ms. Grossman, how would you tackle that question?
So I would agree that minor league baseball does not play a role in our economy in Washington or in the city of Hagerstown right now, and would echo what Austin said in terms of entertainment does play a role, and that we have a responsibility perhaps to explore other opportunities, whether it be an event venue or something like that. But I will also say, you know, when we think about those kinds of business opportunities and talking about bringing jobs into our community, those are not also the kind of jobs I think that we need, right? We need jobs that are going to pay more than $11 an hour and be part-time. So perhaps our efforts could be better focused on bringing a business into the community that would provide that resource for our citizens.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Grossman. And next we have a question that is going to first, these are for mayoral candidates, to Ms. Keller and then Mr. Barnes. I do want to note that Mr. Barnes has had some problems with internet connection, so we're hoping that he is connected when this question comes to him next. And first, we'll start with, we'll give this question first to Ms. Keller, though. Question is, if elected, what are your short-term goals as mayor? Looking ahead, what are some of the long-term goals you hope to accomplish in office in the next 3 to 4 years? So what are your short-term goals as mayor? And what are some of the long-term goals that you hope to accomplish in office in the next 3 to 4 years?
So my short-term goals are simple. If I'm elected mayor, I want to immediately meet with our department heads within City Hall to hear where they are on projects, what their priorities are, what they're working on. Thankfully, I already know most of that since I have a unique position of already being in office, but I think it's important to meet with them one-on-one. And then my next several weeks in office, I would like to take the show on the road, take the council and go to different parts of the community to meet and have a listening tour with our citizens and hear what every aspect of our city wants, different neighborhoods, different groups, what they want from government, what they are seeing right now, and what they hope to see 4 years from now. And then I would like to reconvene at City Hall with the council and come up with a game plan from there. I think it's very important to have a strategic plan, and that's what I want to knock out immediately. As far as 4 years from now, our budget issues are no secret, especially with COVID-19. So I would like to focus, make sure that our budget shortfalls are not falling on the backs of taxpayers, and to find creative ways to not be having a budget conversation 4 years from now.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Keller. And I'm hoping that Mr. Barnes, you are, you're unmuted and you can take this question.
Yes. My first one, actually, I'm going to make it pretty simple on the first 100 days. And I do apologize if I do get cut off. My house, for some reason, has always been a internet disaster. But in the first 100 days, I want to work on improving public safety, the sense of safety here. I want to engage the citizens. I want to, go out to our different communities, North End, East End, West End, and have a town hall, so to speak. And then I have to say the main focus is going to be working on recovering the economy. With a budget shortfall right now, find ways to cut the budget without cutting the services. In 4 to 5 years, I would like to see a huge revitalization of the entire city of Hagerstown, so we can bring some good high-paying jobs to Washington County, more so to the city of Hagerstown. And by doing that, hopefully state property values go up.
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully you guys heard that.
Yeah, we did. We did. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that the connection is better, at least for the moment. So that's excellent. Next, we have some questions going back to the council candidates. We have questions for 3 candidates here, Shelley McIntyre, Mr. Perini, and Ms. Burnett. And the question is, what is the proper balance between redevelopment and historic preservation? What is the proper balance between redevelopment and historic preservation? And that question goes first to you, Ms. McIntyre.
I think that it's very important to evaluate the impact of our, our historic properties that we have. That being said, I think that, there's history in a lot of, in everything. So if there's attachment and there's things that are really bringing, feet on the street and bringing people to our community, to redevelop something like that is not a good idea. I think that taking things away from history can be extremely detrimental to a community. That being said, everyone, I think, has a connection to a building or to lots of things in our community. But I do think that we have to really evaluate what redevelopment looks like. Not everything needs to be a newly purposed business or restaurant or whatever. So I think that we need to make sure we do our homework before we start to redevelop something.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So that question, the same question goes next to Mr. Perini.
Just because it's old doesn't mean it's historic. There are some beautiful old buildings, historic buildings in Hagerstown that absolutely should be preserved. But there's a lot of properties, there are a lot of properties that just don't need to be preserved just because they're really old. I like to look at Washington, D.C. as a great example. It's a mixture of beautiful, historic, renovated buildings and brand new buildings right next to it. It works. It can bring a beautiful site to Hagerstown. Look, I was in construction for many, many years, and I can tell you that bringing an old building up to code in Hagerstown that doesn't have historic value is nearly impossible economically. It's cheaper to tear it down and build a new building. So I'm not saying that should happen with everyone, but there are plenty of buildings that should be preserved, and there are plenty of buildings that should make way for new construction. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Perini. Last, we have this question, same question goes to Ms. Burnett.
As far as redevelopment and with, older homes, I agree with Shelley with evaluation. I am for, like I mentioned, businesses coming here, but we need to evaluate some of these abandoned buildings instead of knocking down acres and acres of trees to put up a new building. I visited Baltimore Street, Mill Street, Ray Street this past weekend, just, canvassing the area. And that area, for example, has a lot of vacant homes. So, when we tear down these trees to put up new houses and developments, we need to look at what we already have here instead of knocking down and impacting our environment. And as far as historical buildings, we need to evaluate before they become a safety hazard, before they start literally falling onto the sidewalks, which causes the community being a complete outrage because they know that building had historical value to them. So evaluate before it becomes a problem, and as well as addressing these buildings that need attention.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Burnett. Next, we have question that is going to 2 candidates, Ms. Martinez and Mr. Bruschi. And the question is, how can the city address environmental issues that impact human health and increase the cost of doing business? So that is going to Ms. Martinez and Mr. Bruschi. How can city address environmental issues that impact human health and increase the cost of doing business? Ms. Martinez, you take that first.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I think that the best way to do that is to have the community invest in it and be invested as well in the environmental issues. I think that just make as important the different celebrations and things that we have downtown as Earth Day, or the different things that are happening to the environment. I think that we should pay more attention to those things as a small valley community, right? I think that that's so important. I don't know a lot about the environment and how Hagerstown helps with it or doesn't help with it. And I think that that's an area that I would like to listen in and find out. I do know that as a kid, we used to celebrate Earth Day, but I don't remember celebrating it much with my children, as well as even the sciences and things. So I'm not very well rehearsed on those things, but I think that listening and getting the community involved in different things that help and help save and restore the environment, as far as the water and trash and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Ms. Martinez. And Mr. Bruschi, how would you approach that question?
Well, the city just instituted a stormwater management fee. And one way that we can help to make it less expensive to do business in Hagerstown is because this stormwater management fee will be laid across all properties, which means those individual properties that have not contributed to the tax base over years, and the tax monies that we use out of the general fund for stormwater management can now all be paid with by this stormwater management fee. So that actually lessens the burden on the general fund for stormwater management. So that's one way. Another way, of course, is that we have a Reforestation Act in the city of Hagerstown. We've been a Tree USA city for over 25 years. And, we talk about, I heard a council candidate talk about, tearing down trees and things like that. You can see on Basil Boulevard, we're taking down a lot of trees. We're also going to have a huge development with higher paying jobs on that property for 1,500 of our residents. And that's also important. But those trees that are coming down, they will be replaced. So again, we're a Tree City USA for a reason. We've always focused on the environment in the city of Hagerstown, and I believe that we will continue to do that. And I believe that we'll be able to do within to help actually some cost-saving measures that will save the taxpayers money.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Bruschi. Next, we have a question going to Mr. Hefferman and Ms. Grossman. And the question is, do you think our Main Street downtown is healthy and successful? If not, what would you do to change that? So do you think our Main Street and downtown is healthy and successful? If not, what would you do to change that? And the question is, first we'll toss that at Mr. Hefferman.
Thank you, Dr. Schwartz. I think it's a lot healthier than it was when I moved here in 2005, and it's getting better. It's unfortunately, it's confined to too narrow an area of downtown. I think we need to expand that. I think that is to cure our safety problems or perception of safety problems. More foot patrols, more bike patrols, and activities to bring more people downtown. The more activity you have downtown, the more safe people feel being downtown. And that's what's going to allow more restaurants to come in, more entertainment events to happen. And it's going to have people not afraid to come downtown and go to events at night and stay late and participate in all those activities. I think we are on a good track. And if we get through this pandemic, I think we were really making some good headway before this whole thing hit. And it's unfortunate, but it hasn't derailed us for good.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hefferman. And Ms. Grossman, how would you approach that question?
Yeah, so I think our downtown area is emerging. I think there's always room to grow and do more. And, you know, I heard Austin talk a lot about kind of where we've been during the pandemic. And we've had several small businesses open downtown during the pandemic, and they're making it work, right? They're not maybe making it work without struggles, but there are young entrepreneurs, a family business that came into downtown. And I think one of the things that we could do is learn from them and ask them, would they mentor, would they talk to others that are interested in starting small businesses downtown, celebrate the success that we've had, recognize the strength. I don't know if any of you saw the really like catchy, funny videos EJ Zupan was doing at 28 South in like the throes of the pandemic to keep getting people to come and get takeout, right? We need to, that's a strength, that's an asset to us, and we need to get him out and those other business owners out in front of people who are interested in coming to downtown, so they're not afraid to come and open their business here.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Grossman. Thank you. And next we have a question for the mayoral candidates. And this first question is going to Mr. Barnes, same question obviously going to Ms. Keller after. The question is Hagerstown on a firm financial footing? And if elected, what 3 steps would you take to improve our financial footing? So is Hagerstown on a firm financial footing? And if elected, what 3 steps would you take to improve our financial footing? That is going to Mr. Barnes first.
First of all, I think up until the pandemic, we were on a good financial footing. I believe the city charter says we must maintain a positive budget. We can't run in a deficit. I would working with the council, do an extensive budget review. I've seen some things in the budget that had me question whether they were right decisions or not. For instance, $20,000 for a used lawnmower for the golf course. So I would just work with the council and the department heads to make sure that we get back on financial track.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. And Ms. Keller, how would you approach that question?
Well, to answer your first question, are we on a strong budget footprint? I would say no, not right now, especially with COVID-19. And we had struggles before, and this is kind of bringing that all to the forefront. 3 ways that I would like to help fix it is 1, do an organizational review of internal City Hall and see from the top down if there's anywhere that we can cut, where we're spending too much, where we might be spending too little, and if we are operating proficiently. I think like most organizations, we all have that, well, we've always done it this way. And I think now there's no better time than now to look at all of our operations to see if we're doing them the way that we should. I'd like to focus on annexations. Our administration, this Brucci administration, has been very aggressive with annexations, which helps expand our tax base. And lastly, by cleaning up our neighborhoods and focusing on removing blight will help increase property values, which will help increase tax revenue, and also make Hagerstown a more beautiful place to live, which will in turn bring people here who will spend money and help us with those budget issues.
Great. Thank you very much, Ms. Keller. And we are shifting to a new section of questions here. These questions have come from our audience. And we have one question that is going to 2 candidates, going to Shelley McIntyre and Ms. Burnett. And the question is, Hagerstown has more renters than homeowners, a high poverty rate, and a fairly low level of average education. What should the city's role be in working with nonprofits, faith-based organizations, and the county, state, and federal governments that the city does not fund or control? So that's, I'm going to repeat it for you. The question is, what should the city's role be in working with nonprofits, faith-based organizations, and the county, state, and federal governments that the city does not fund or control? And that question is going first to Ms. McIntyre and then to Ms. Burnett.
So Washington County has the most nonprofit organizations in the entire state. So I think that one of the things that we have to focus on is we have to stop our siloed approaches to creating solutions to these problems, and we all have to work together in partnership. I think that the city's role in nonprofits, and it's kind of two different, or kind of a combined question. We have to lower the barrier to entry for our renters and for homeownership. So we want to encourage homeownership, but our buildings downtown are very, very large. They're very expensive to renovate. They're expensive for developers to renovate. So we have to work and lower the barriers to entry for that kind of project in order to encourage our homeownership. I do think that we do a very good job with the nonprofits like Reach and created programs. That's just a small example in 60 seconds, but we can always do a better job.
Thank you, Ms. McIntyre. So that question is next going to Ms. Burnett.
So we need to educate. We need to educate the community on what goes into owning property. We need to educate our youth on understanding financial literacy, understanding the importance of credit scores, savings, banks, and the whole mortgage process. I was fortunate enough to go to the home store downtown when I was buying my house at 27, and I didn't know that process. So I'm really thankful for them to tell me what goes in and out about obtaining home ownership. And as far as renting, we have to make sure these property owners are taking care of these properties for renters to actually stay in. Just because they're renting doesn't mean that they don't deserve to have quality water, foundation, no mold, no issues. So city needs to focus on making sure these property owners do what they're supposed to do and make sure that everyone has a life of enjoyment, and regardless of renting or owning.
Thank you, Ms. Burnett. And next we have a question that is going to go to 3 candidates for a change. The 3 candidates are Mr. Hefferman, Ms. Grossman, and Mr. Perini. And the question is, facing uncertain revenues, what are the 3 things we cannot cut from the city budget? So facing uncertain revenues, what are the 3 things we cannot cut from the city budget? And that is going first to Mr. Hefferman.
Thank you. First and foremost, our public safety functions, the police department and the fire department. We must have a strong public safety environment for all of our citizens to protect everyone as they deserve to be protected. And then the third thing is our utilities, our water. I'm very concerned that we've never been able to get state funding to put our reservoir back into operation. We're confined to one source of water, which is the Potomac River, and thank God nothing has happened upstream from us. But we need to really focus on that. The water department does a great job, but they're shorthanded, and their budget is abysmal right now.
Okay, thank you. And that same question goes to Ms. Grossman now.
I would 100% echo what Austin said in terms of our public safety, and actually probably need to look at how we can better support them, not cut the budget for them. Utilities as well, I'm sure many of you may or may not be aware, right? We are facing part of the lack of revenue in the city right now is because people are unable to pay or not paying their utility bills, and there's still uncertainty of how and when the city will be able to recoup that funding. So I think we have to be sure that we have that infrastructure built, because citizens are still going to need water and lights, and we're going to have to then connect them most likely to that nonprofit community that you guys talked about earlier, to make sure that they have the support that they need, which also in turn will give the city the support that we need, right? If we can get funding and payments from entities in the community that can support us with that, then we can help to recoup some of that revenue.
Thank you. Thank you. And lastly, the same question, the three things that cannot be cut from the city budget goes to Mr. Perini.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. It's police and fire and water sewer. I mean, these are the basic essentials that the city provides to its citizens. And I don't think anybody would disagree that those very basic essentials are paramount and must be maintained. The funding must be maintained.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have a question that is going to Mr. Bruschi and Ms. Martinez. The question is, food insecurity and poverty have been worsened by the COVID-19 pandemic. How should the city respond to these challenges? The question is going first to Mr. Bruschi.
Can you repeat that?
The food insecurity and poverty have been worsened by the COVID-19 pandemic. How should the city respond to these challenges?
Well, I believe that the city does what it can do every single day during these times. I don't believe it is actually government's responsibility to ensure, I mean, keep in mind, government's responsibility at this level are two things: public safety and infrastructure. So when we talk about issues such as food insecurity and poverty, those are two issues that are better handled by those not-for-profit agencies who can actually move the monies that we can receive through grants and things like that, which we did do through the CARES Act and things like that, into those nonprofits to help handle that issue. Again, that's, you know, we can be the venue to collect those funds and be the funnel that funnel those funds out to those agencies to help with that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bruschi. And Ms. Martinez, how would you tackle that question?
I think that knowing that Hagerstown and the city has so many nonprofits is that strong people don't need strong leaders. And I think that utilizing and helping to empower the people that are in place and position in these nonprofits for social services, the poverty and the food desert and all of those things, and the impact that COVID-19 has had on Hagerstown is horrible, right? And I don't think that it's any different than any other community, but I think that it is definitely empowering the nonprofit places, that the social services that we do have, and then being able to collaborate and work together. I think that when we do show up and work together, and as Mr. Mayor said earlier, you know, I think that we have been addressing those, but when the coalitions that are in place, the homeless coalition, I remember when the pandemic first began, you know, and when we show up and working together to help the community at large, we do a very great job.
Thank you. Thank you. And next we have questions going to the mayoral candidates. And the question is, in your experience, what is the key to developing a good team? And that question is going first to Mr. Barnes.
What develops a good team is simple teamwork. You got to build relationships, be able to work with everyone, even though you may not agree with them, or you've got to find a way to work together to bring the team together for the common good. I don't know how much time I got. I'm still having problems here.
You still have some time. You have 30 seconds.
Okay. I would just say to bring a good team together, we need good people, and I I'm ready to work with any of the team members that are on this panel tonight.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And Ms. Keller, how would you approach that, the question of what is the key to developing a good team?
So to develop a good team, you have to, of course, respect each other. And you're not always going to agree, but our differences of opinion are what make a good team strong, because you can rely on each other to offer those differences of opinions. You got to realize what you're good at too, and what your team members are good at. What Mayor Brucci is good at may not be what I'm good at, may not be what Shelley McIntyre is good at. So you have to pull your strengths from each person and recognize if this person's strong in budgeting, let's rely on them. This person is strong on the opioid epidemic, let's rely on them. And then lastly, I just think communication. Communication is the most important part of teamwork. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be comfortable talking to each other. You have to be comfortable, disagreeing and maybe arguing a little bit, and then going down in the basement of City Hall and giving each other a handshake goodbye before you leave. That's the important part of having good teamwork.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Keller. And we have, next we're going to go back to the council candidates, and this question is going first to Ms. McIntyre and then to TIARA Burnett. And the question is, how would you, sorry, I lost the question here. How would you drive crime lower than it is today? And what would be your 3 most important strategies? How would you drive crime lower than it is today? And what would be your 3 most important strategies?
Thanks, Dr. Schwartz. Violence breeds violence. And I am currently working on a ending needless violence with our youth initiative that is a 5-pronged approach for prevention, intervention, reentry, suppression, and equitable distribution of resources. So if we start and we evaluate the areas where there is crime, where there is youth that have been affected by crime, and are inclined to maybe do violent things in the future, we can hopefully be able to intervene and work together in order to suppress that and not encourage it. So that is one of the things that I'm currently working on, and I'd like to continue. So I think also that if people feel safety in numbers, so if we're able to create more events downtown and bring people downtown that is a safe environment, then people will start to be encouraged to come downtown and also feel safe.
All right, great.
Okay, yes, also agree with evaluating research that show that if you have more foot traffic in an area, it's likely to have less crime, but also evaluate the crime statistics, focus on the demographics, focus on the age group that's committing these crimes. If it's the youth, we need to encourage them to, stay active by creating those programs, to encourage to promote self-esteem, to tackle trauma issues, to focus on mental issues, to understand where they're coming from and understand why they choose this path of committing crime. And that goes same for adults as well, having them involved in programs to understand the importance of family, understand, self-awareness, and to tackle those tasks. Evaluation, more programs for education, and also encouraging folks to get involved. If they see something, reach out to a kid or adult and say, hey, what can I do to help you?
All right. The file with all the questions has just disappeared from my screen. Richard, do you have that question handy, Richard? No. Great.
Yes, this question goes to Austin Hefferman, Brooke Grossman, and Peter Perini. And it reads, Meritus Health recently launched Go for Bold, an initiative to improve the health of the community. How can the city of Hagerstown improve the health of its citizens? And that again goes to Mr. Hefferman.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I really applaud that initiative and trying to provide fresh vegetables, fresh food to residents. I think one of the things the city can do, there's an abundance of unused food. And we do a great job. We have people on the staff that know how to put things together and organize programs and make things happen. It's getting the distribution out to our neighborhoods and the places that are food deserts in our city. That initiative, I think, is where Meritus is trying to teach people to eat healthy. I see a lot of the food giveaway programs, and quite frankly, it is not healthy food. And so the city could help in trying to gather the things that may end up in a landfill or surplus vegetables and that type of thing, and training programs on helping people to learn how to cook them.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have the question back. So you all heard the question. Same question is going to Ms. Grossman next. The Meritus Health recently launched Go for Bold, the initiative to improve the health of the community. How can the city of Hagerstown improve the health of its citizens?
So I think one of the first and probably easiest things that we can do as leaders is lead by example, right? We can eat healthy, we can promote exercise, we can be outside, we can show others that we're investing in ourselves and encourage them to do so. The second is not just by food distribution, but addressing the food desert in the city by pathwaying opportunities for there to be locations that people can grocery shop within the core of the city. We don't have, we have smaller convenience stores, a couple of small shops, but not many places. And we talked a lot about, we have people that are impoverished and transportation is a challenge for them. And so they rely on convenience stores and other places like that to eat, which in turn lead to health, issues like diabetes, hypertension, all of those kinds of things. So I think that we need to partner with our community to figure out how we bring that type of enterprise here to the city core. And empower then our residents to be able to shop there and care for themselves, right? We don't have to hand out food. We want to empower them to understand how to be well on their own.
Thank you, Ms. Grossman. And Mr. Prini, how would you tackle that question?
Lose 1 million pounds. So that might sound a little corny or a little funny, but it's real. A couple of years ago, the mayor of Oklahoma City gave a TED talk about how he saw that his city was in the top 3 or 4 or 5 most obese cities in the United States. And he stood up and said, we're going to lose 1 million pounds. And they did it. It's a great story, and it's a great example of what can be done. So obviously, Hagerstown's a little bit smaller than Oklahoma City, but I think the tagline definitely catches your attention. Lose 1 million pounds. More to come.
Thank you. And the next question is going to Mr. Bruschi and Ms. Martinez. And the question is, given funding constraints in our community, how can the city continue to support arts and cultural events? So that question is going first to Mr. Bruschi.
Well, without a doubt, as been stated over and over, we do have budget constraints currently in the city of Hagerstown. But in the past, we were extremely fortunate to be able to partner with other entities to promote arts in the city of Hagerstown and culture. Even during these times of 2020, which is probably why you lost your questions on your screen, is that we've been able to still promote arts by doing our next sculpture on the cultural trail, and by looking at by helping the Bester Elementary students to rehab the mural under the bridge of Memorial Boulevard, and do other things like that. So, it doesn't always have to be about spending money. Sometimes it's just about being there and showing up.
Thank you, Mr. Bruschi. And Ms. Martinez, how would you approach that question?
So as an artist, I think that I've learned that when you support local artists and when local artists are supported, it also helps with the economy. And then it also helps to engage the youth. It's very important to support art. I taught at the Fine Arts Museum for 2 years, 4 different sessions, and they were middle schoolers that were, that were into art, but they needed to be able to develop their voice. And that was funded through donations and different families that loved art that wanted to give that opportunity to children for free at the Fine Arts Museum. And I think there was 20 middle school kids that spent Saturdays together that didn't have groups of friends, because artists a lot of times are very introverted, sometimes very focused on our art. But I think that's that we just continue to do what we do in the arts and entertainment district. Barbara Ingram is amazing, the school. And I think that we support local artists. When you support local artists then begin to create and begin to help impact and reach the youth. And it's very important to do that.
Great, thank you. Thank you. And
Hey, Doc, I got to step out for a couple minutes. I'm not leaving completely though, okay?
Okay, we're actually, Bob, we're actually at the candidate wrap-up section, and you're up first, actually,
Cool.
as far as because alphabetical order. So as far as the wrapping up, 2 minutes per candidate. 2 minutes per candidate. Why you deserve the support of voters in this contest.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Doc. There's a lot of great candidates on the screen tonight, and there's been a lot of great answers. And I certainly look forward to being on the council and being with whoever else is elected to that position. I think Brooke needs to get her grass cut back there. It's kind of long behind her. But listen, a lot was said tonight about a lot of different issues, public safety, the budget, all those kind of issues that are very pressing in the city of Hagerstown. And I will tell you that there is a way to do it all. And there is a way to do it all without laying all the burden on our taxpayers. And I believe it can be done. And there are plans in the works currently that can beef up public safety, beef up our economic development projects and our people in that department. Beef up our cleanup initiatives within the city of Hagerstown that takes away blighted housing and things like that help grow the tax base. There are opportunities currently in the works that different groups are now partnering for the first time to achieve some great things in the community, which will bring a lot of diversity to the city of Hagerstown, and I believe that everybody will benefit from them. So I look forward to being there on the council with 4 of the great council members and a mayor, and I believe that we'll do fantastic things because that's what the citizens expect of us, and that's what we should do. So thank you all for the opportunity this evening. I do got to duck out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Boucher. And Ms. Burnett, would you please summarize why voters should support you in this election?
My campaign motto is working today for a better tomorrow, which is straight like it is. The work we do today will impact tomorrow, and future will impact our generations to come. So we can't be complacent. We can't just sit still and watch the world happen around us. We have to get on the ground, put in the work, and make the changes that we need in this city as well in this country. And I hope that the people of Hagerstown will give me a chance to be a voice for those who believe in the future of the city, and for those that feel like their voices aren't heard or valued. And just because I have a minute, few seconds left, I like to plug a few reminders. Register to vote. Encourage your friends and family to register to vote. The mail-in ballots should be coming in shortly, so remember to return your ballots. And we'll show up to early voting week, October 26th through November 2nd, or show up on November 3rd on election day. And also complete the 2020 census. that's all I have. And vote TIARA Burnett for City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And the question, the summary next goes to Ms. Grossman.
Great, thank you, Dr. Schwartz. So I think, I'm a little bit of a unicorn, and I didn't highlight that really well earlier. I have more than 20 years of experience working in the nonprofit world, starting from all the way from like being a case manager now to being, part of the leadership of one of the largest nonprofits in our community. And so I have to also, I can wear that human hat and really want to sit and listen and hear and care. But I also can wear that business hat and understand that what we have a judicial responsibility, right? And I work with lots of people that are sitting on this call tonight to figure out how we marry those two things together creatively to create the best options for our community. And as a council member, I feel like I would continue to do that. And I'm comfortable having those uncomfortable conversations. And as a member of a team, I'm also really self-aware. And as Emily pointed out earlier, you rely on what your strengths are, right? And I know what I'm good at, and I know where I should lean on other people and ask for help. And above all, I'm accessible. I think that our role is to hear from the business owners and the citizens of this community what their needs are and what their vision for this community is, and how we then play a role in making that a reality. And that is at the forefront of kind of everything that I want to do for Hagerstown. It's not just what I think would be valuable to me. It's what I think, or what I want to know from the community that they want to see here, because that investment is what's going to keep people here. It's going to want to make a place that my kids want to come back to, right? Like I talked about earlier, when college is over. And then it's a community that thrives, and that's a place that business wants to come to. And we have more, livable wage paying jobs, not survivable wage paying jobs. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Mr. Hefferman, would you please summarize your reason for why voters should support you?
Thank you. Can you hear me? I think I unmuted there. So I want to, thank you very much to the League of Women Voters and to you, Dr. Schwartz, for the opportunity to be here tonight. Just to sum up who I am, I'm not a career politician, and I don't aspire to be one. I view the city council as a stepping stone in a political career. Have no real political career aspirations. I volunteered my service to be on the council when there was an opening that needed to be filled, because there were some things I didn't like that were going on in the city I didn't agree with. And I wanted to bring my skills, and I thought I could use those to try to help out. I'm running for a second term because I have had some successes. I'm proud of some of the things I have accomplished, but there's a lot that's left to be done. And I think to make Hagerstown the kind of place that we all are proud to call home, we really need people who bring a diverse set of skills from a diverse segments of the city to come together and try to make this a really great place to live. My commitments to the citizens, if I'm elected, just to reiterate, I will continue working on trying to bring our city ordinances up to date, allowing us to do a better job of controlling drug trafficking and marketing activities in town that are just doing nothing but doing harm and killing our residents, and fostering petty crimes and thefts and break-ins, creating daily problems for our citizens I hear about every day, and business owners. And it makes it really hard to attract the new businesses and new entrepreneurs we need to create growth. And I'll continue to be a good steward of our tax dollars, and we'll focus on controlling expenditures and looking for new sources of revenue. And I will not vote to raise taxes. And I will vote to find, or work to find a way to give our public safety functions the funding and support needed to make sure they provide us with the protection we deserve.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Heffernan. And that question, summary about why people should support you goes to Ms. Martinez for 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Schwartz. So I think that whether I'm on a stage speaking a poem or giving a talk, or if I'm teaching a writing workshop, or if I'm facilitating between two groups that don't like each other, I'm always going to show up. I'm always going to show up authentic. I'm always going to show up and in humility. I believe that a very important part of being of service is being able to humble yourself enough to be able to hear and understand the people that are speaking to you that you're supposed to serve. And I think that I've been able to sit in the room with an atheist, and I'm a Christian woman. I've been able to sit in the room with a white supremacist, and I'm a Black woman. I've been able to sit in those rooms and be unoffended, and also be able to hear and understand their perspective. And that makes me, that's my gift. My gift is to be able to sit in between six young men and 15 police officers and not take a side, and be able to, right there in the midst of that conflict, make sure everyone feels heard and understood. I'm trained in that area, but I'm also gifted there. And I just believe that that's an important part of leadership, is to be able to hear and understand, whether I'm in the South End, the East End, the West End, the North End, I am the same exact person. And I would serve everybody the same exact way, because I think that that's important. Even if I don't understand, I can hear, I can humble myself enough that I can hear and understand why that is important to that particular person. And I think that's an important key in leadership. Another thing is that it's sometimes misunderstood whenever I make a statement about something. I love police officers. I love police officers. Number one, I'm a woman. I have 4 daughters. I have to feel safe. I need to feel safe. And I think that it's very important to be able to support them. Everyone needs supported in their positions. And the support does not always look like, it may look like training. It may look like facilitating. It may look like teaching some other things. And I think that we have an amazing leadership in our public safety. And I just want to make sure that we're still collaborating and partnering together to be Hagerstown, the great Hagerstown.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Martinez. And Ms. McIntyre, could you please summarize in 2 minutes the case for voters supporting you?
Well, as an appointed councilwoman, I want to see if more than 4 people actually want me to serve this city. So other than that, I think now more than ever, we need leaders that with high integrity and common sense. People can relate to me as a business owner, as a mother, as someone who's lived here since, my goodness, since I was 10 years old. I know Hagerstown and I love Hagerstown. I am trustworthy and I'm dependable. I listen. I come up with creative solutions to problems that we have in our community that are not we've always done it this way. And although as a visionary and thinking that way, it can be a little tricky to not do it the way that we've always done it. But I pride myself on the fact that, I can bring people together and create partnerships in order to create a better Hagerstown. Again, I work every single day as a councilwoman in balancing the life and work that it takes in order to own a business and also serve the citizens of our city. And I would be honored to continue to be able to serve in this capacity. Like I said, I'm really, really, really excited about the opportunity, and I hope that I get to continue this really exciting journey of being a councilwoman in this area. So, and like the mayor said, there are some great candidates on this forum, and it'll be really exciting. And we need to figure out how to make our city a great place for people to come and to visit and to stay and to live here and raise their families. It is a beautiful place to raise a family. It is a beautiful place to own a business. And I think that we are right on the cusp of something fantastic. And I want to continue to be a part of that. Thanks, Dr. Schwartz.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. McIntyre. And lastly, Mr. Perini, how would you summarize the case that you make for voters to support you?
Well, again, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. We've heard from most of the candidates tonight. This is city government, not federal government, and many of the positions of the candidates are the same. So this election comes largely down to a question of character. Look, we have an economically ethnically and culturally diverse community, which demands a strength of character of council members, not racism, not systemic inequality. I hope that every eligible voter exercises their right to vote. Mail-in ballots are the safest means of voting this year. I ask that you please vote for Peter Perini for City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. That was short and sweet. We will next turn to the candidates for mayor and give them, again, 2 minutes to wrap up, summarize the case they're making for voters' support. We're going to go in reverse order this time and give Ms. Keller the first crack at this.
Thank you, Dr. Schwartz. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve the citizens of Hagerstown in a role as council person, and I very much look forward to hopefully having the opportunity to be the mayor. I believe in Hagerstown. I do. I think that the past 4 years I've proven I'm ready to put in the work, and I have put in the work, not just locally, but I've built relationships all across the state. I currently serve on the Legit Board of Trustees, giving a voice to Western Maryland that was not there prior to that. Also serve on the Board of Trustees for the Phoenix Foundation that just opened its first recovery high school in Maryland, as well as the Senior Opioid Policy Group. So I've been busy working not just for the citizens of Hagerstown, but to expand our outreach to make sure we have relationships all across the state. I'm proud of the work that I've been able to do here. I've worked on improving our human rights campaign scorecard, so our city is LGBTQ friendly, even with the language in our very outdated discrimination policy that's now been updated. I worked to put together the Picker Committee to do a review of our code and permits department to try to streamline and make it easier to do business here. I introduced the city in the opioid lawsuit and to try to recoup some of the losses that we have seen due to the opioid epidemic. And really just been focused on making Hagerstown a better place to live. I truly believe that I can be the positive leader to lead us forward through this COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. And I look forward to the partnerships that I've already made and creating more. And I thank you guys for this opportunity. Please vote for me on November 3rd or mail your ballot in for me prior to that. And thank you very much.
Great, thank you so much. And next, the same opportunity goes to you, Mr. Barnes, to summarize the case you are making for voters to support you.
Thank you. I hope everyone can hear me. I do apologize. I was having internet problems this evening. You guys have been cracking in and out all evening. So let me get this in real quick. All my ideas and platform is on my website, votebarnes2020.com. I've been glad to build a very successful senior market insurance business in Hagerstown for the last 21 years. I've been very blessed to be able to give back to very many nonprofit organizations. I've served on several boards and even with the Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank, before I lose you guys again, I do want to thank the League of Women Voters for putting on this forum tonight. I'm going quick now because I'm afraid that I'm going to lose connection here at any minute. I do look forward to working with whoever gets elected with the City Council. I wish all the candidates best of luck. On November the 3rd, I will be voting in person, safely, of course. I will be voting at probably Emily's old alma mater out there at South High. So if you guys see it fit after you read my platform and everything, please consider voting for me. And thank you guys again for the opportunity this evening.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all the candidates who have taken the time to appear tonight. And with that, I'm going to toss this to Mr. Wilson, League President, to make some closing remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Schwartz, and thank you to all the candidates that took time this evening to participate in our forum. We did have two candidates that were unable, City Council candidates that were unable to participate but we want to draw your attention to the fact that if you go to vote411.org on the web, you can enter your home address. It will show you all of the races that are going to be on your ballot, and you can use that website to compare written answers that the candidates that you've heard this evening provided to questions posed by the League, as well as comments made by the two candidates for council that were unable to attend this evening. So vote411.org is a great resource. If you have, having seen these candidates face to face this evening and are still a bit puzzled, the vote411.org is a good place to go. With that, I want to thank two of the candidates that mentioned how they were going to vote. It is extremely important that we all participate in our democracy. That is the only way that we can maintain it. So with that, we bid you a good evening and thank you for watching this forum.